Hello and welcome to the show. Hopefully everyone can hear me all right. This is the iCave Dave show. We're just going to talk some Apple stuff and whatever else you want to talk about, to be completely honest. So just let me know down in the chat if the sound and stuff's okay, as long as you can hear me all right. And we will get into it. Sorry there was no real show today. I've been doing a lot of sorting out actually in the studio here. So we can show you around the space a little bit as well, because we've changed a few things. There used to be a monitor like here, but there isn't now. So we've gone back to using the big 40-inch, which is on the wall over there, but like further away. So interesting way of doing it, I think. How is everyone? Say hello in the chat so that I know who's here and we can all have a chat. Did you like the artwork, by the way, for today's live stream? Hopefully. We'll allow a few people to get into the chat before we get started too much. Thomas, how you doing, my friend? Nice to see you. Michael, are you still here? I know you sent a message, but I don't know how long ago it was that you actually sent that one. But yeah, we've just been doing some sorting out in the studio space, which is why we didn't do a video today. I can show you actually if the camera decides it wants to follow me, which it doesn't seem to want to at the minute. Let's try that again. Yeah, so you can see over here, we've actually got a light that's way up here now, which will probably be a bit blinding, but you can see this is the big, in fact we can swing it in, this is the 40-inch, which is the one where I'm putting my Twitter feed and stuff during the day, and then it can fold out the way while we do live streams and stuff, and obviously it does get a little bit bright over there. Sorry if you couldn't actually hear me particularly well. Forget that the microphone is attached to the desk, but still, yeah, we've got a few bits going on over here. We've changed the setup over on the desk. Got some books and stuff up there. Sorted out this desk as well. So this has now just got the Mac Cube on it, the Macintosh Classic, which is the one that's going to be Project 91. That's the one that's going to get the M1 inside. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. So let's say hello to some people. Rob Berry, how you doing? Brian Montero, what up? Apple Gangsters, all good. Thomas, thanks for the M2 video. Helped me and my son make decisions about his first ever Mac. Awesome. Which one did he end up getting? Has he gone for the M2 Air? I've got mine here still. The Midnight. It's still looking good. There's no anodizing wear on it at this point. It's all still looking nice and clean and brand spanking new. No issues around the ports either, which is what everyone's been concerned about, but there's no removal of any of the colour around those where I've been using it for the past few days. I think it's doing pretty well. But I'm glad it was helpful for you, so let me know, which one did you go for in the end, Thomas? Love to know if you ended up going for the MacBook Air. Yes, Midnight 16, 512. Also, you went bigger on the RAM as well. Fair enough. I mean, at that point, it is getting sort of towards that MacBook Pro pricing. But if you don't need the extra power, you will get much longer battery life with the Air than you would with the Pro. And I think that's actually, in the real world, probably a bigger advantage for most people than the extra performance that you would get with the Pro. So, yeah. I see we've got a few more people coming in now. We've got 11 watching live. So, do say hello, guys, down in the chat. This is all about interaction today and having a chat about stuff. There's been a few little tidbits of news today. I see that we've got some iPhone 14 news, and I know iPhone is probably not what my audience is that excited about in general, but I think it's worth touching on quite often. It looks like every iPhone 12 is going to have 6 gigabytes of RAM, which is, not unexpected, because, we've been talking about the fact that we're going to be getting the previous year's chips basically in the regular iPhone 14s, and then we're going to get potentially the A16 chip in the iPhone Pro range this year, which is a bit of a change from what they've done in the past. But it is, I think, an interesting idea that they're really going to differentiate the higher end phone from the regular phone this time. And what does everyone think about this? Does anyone actually care? I would guess the kind of people that watch this sort of show will generally be people that would, I guess, go for the Pros in most cases. But if you do, or if you don't care, do let me know in the chat, because I would love to know what your thoughts are on it. there's been a few other bits, not a great deal. I mean, here in the UK, the majority of the news has all been about our leadership debate that's going on today. Honestly, neither of them seems like a great choice, but I don't think that's an option at this point. And we don't want to turn this into a full-on politics show. I'm sure there'll be some references at some point, but yeah, that's not the plan for today anyway. But yeah, let's just have a quick check, because there have been a few news stories that we might as well have a quick chat about. Because it's always good to get you guys' takes on these things. So what have we got here? Apple has applied for 248 car patents since 2000, which is quite a lot, to be fair, for a company that doesn't make cars, at least yet. We've got more news on the Apple Watch Pros and, or yeah, if that's what it's going to be called, kind of replacing the Edition, and apparently it's not going to be rounded or flat. So I'm not quite sure what that leaves. I don't know if they're going to cobble it. Maybe it's going to have some kind of interesting texture to it, but it's not going to be flat or round, so spiky, presumably. I guess that's the other option, isn't it? Slow Cuba, good to see you, my friend. It's been a little while. You're always here for the lives, but you don't talk to me in the comments so much anymore. I'd love to have a phone with a macro mode and better astrophotography than I get with my iPhone 11. Yeah, there was loads to talk about astrophotography, actually. Was it last year or the year before? I can't remember if it was the 12 or the 13. But the 13 also was then the one that got Starlight and Midnight as the colours, and we thought it was maybe getting the satellite stuff just before it happened as well, and I thought maybe that those colour choice names were going to tie into that as well. But yeah, astrophotography, that would be really cool. I mean, obviously for that, you'd probably need to use a tripod, but that being said, Apple is really good with the low light kind of stuff while it's in hand. Like, it just reduces all of the handshake, and I don't know, it's like witchcraft the way that they do some of this stuff these days. Tech God, hello indeed. Slow Cuber also says, but the Apple Car will fit in my pocket, maybe it will fold. Yeah, I mean, I think I still am not certain that this Apple Car that we've been hearing about is actually going to be a car that we drive, or I mean, it sounds like there's not going to be the opportunity to drive it because it's not going to have steering wheels or pedals. It's very much going to be an autonomous vehicle, but I don't feel like it's something that the public will buy. I think it's more of a product that Apple will release as a service, potentially. It might be something that cities can buy, or companies can buy to use as shuttles for workers, something along those lines, but I just don't see it being a product that they actually sell as a retail item, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. I think universities might use it as well. School buses, use it as a kind of a school bus type thing. But yeah, I just think it's going to be a little bit different. SX or 6 I had? Maybe. 16256 or 8512. For me, unless you're doing really high-end stuff, I would say the 8512 is probably a better option. That's the one that I went for on the MacBook Air. And the reason for that is the 8 gig with 512 of storage can use swap storage, swap memory, and also you get the faster SSDs as a result of it, and you also get the more storage. Whereas if you just go for the additional unified memory, the additional RAM, if you like, but it's unified memory with these, you're only getting the additional RAM. You can't store stuff on that. I think there's more flexibility to the 8512 than there is to the 16256. That would be my my thoughts on that. Although I know some people have been doing some tests on how quick the graphics are on the smaller ones, on like the 256 8s, and they said that there's issues with the graphics as well, but that would be because the unified memory is used unified, so it's between graphics and the CPU, so there would be a little bit of difference there. So yeah. I think I got your question right. I know you've kind of reiterated it. Yeah. That's my answer. Hopefully that makes sense. Cool. Slow Cuba been having to catch you mostly after the premieres and live shows. That's cool, but you can still throw a comment or question in the comments for me. I enjoy answering them still. CA Mitchell says, Silver M2 MacBook Air here. perfectly matches my M1 Max MacBook Pro. Excellent. Yeah, it would do. But they look really cool. I do like the design, the way that they're going with the design language now. I'm really quite pleased with it. Slow Cuba says, a la George Jetson's car. Yeah, so I think Apple Car is one of these weird products that we just don't know what they're going to do with it at this point. They've definitely said, or, you know, there's definitely been whisperings that what they're looking to do is not something that you drive, but something that you use, I guess, Siri to use Apple Maps to kind of take you where you want to go. So yeah. Sixer had, is it still worth buying an M1 Air for $700? If you can get one for $700, my friend, I would go for that. I would bite their hands off for that. It's a great computer. It's not in any way outdated. I don't think you would have any issues doing the vast majority of what you would do on any other MacBook Air with that. Tech God is asking, am I using Center Stage? No, I'm using the OBS bot, which is a tilt and pan and zoom little camera that sits on top of my monitor. It's basically Center Stage without being Center Stage, but you're actually getting the full 4K sensor that's following me around rather than cropping into sort of a 1080p chunk of a 4K sensor, if that makes sense. So yeah, you get a full resolution, you get much better image quality with this one. But yeah, not Center Stage, but yeah, it will move around a little bit, which is good because it means that I can walk over here and it'll come with me, but it'll actually bring the whole camera around. So yeah, it's not kind of distorted and stuff. But my sound will be better over here because that's where the microphone is. Yeah, no. Slow Cuba, EGAD. EGAD? Cool. I hope they get Siri working better before they start letting him, her, it drive it. That camera the following camera is actually fun. Yeah, it's alright, isn't it? I mean, this was sent to me for review. I've not done a review of it, but we've brought it up in so many of these videos. I'm sure the people that sent it to me are quite happy with that. But we will do, because I started doing yesterday, with the intent of putting it out today, I decided to start like pulling my office apart and kind of rebuilding it, tidying it all up. I've chucked on the Joby lav mic thing. See, this is what happens when I'm not actually planning what I'm going to say. But yeah, so I've got the Joby MagSafe grip thing, GorillaPod. And then that's got the little Joby microphone. This is the receiver, so that plugs into your iPhone. And then you have a very similar little pack with a lav mic on it. And you just basically compare these up and wirelessly stream your audio. It's really good. So that was what I was using yesterday while I was filming. And the plan was that I would kind of go through my studio while I was tidying it because it was an absolute state. All under my desk was all full of stuff. I've redone cable management. It looks much nicer now. So that video will still be coming out. But I was basically going through and finding all of the stuff that I've been sent to review that I haven't really reviewed yet. And I was going to do it all in one big long video and then split it out into smaller videos as well so that they all have their own little video. But yeah, it was going to be like, when I do iCave answers and then sometimes split out the questions into their own little videos later. Yeah, that was what I was going to do. Still coming, but the studio's at least tidy now. Which is a win. Robert Berry, rather than the MacBook Air M2, I went for the M1 Pro base model, so 16512, with the extra ports, better screen and better speakers, just over £1,800 from CRCS. KRCS? I don't know which one's KRCS, with an extra year's warranty. I mean, that's a great deal. There's nothing wrong with that. The only thing for me is the MacBook Air is all I need in terms of performance. And so going for that and getting the extra battery life when I'm out and about, because I do tend to, like when I have a real job, which I don't at the minute, but I have got an interview on Thursday. Very exciting. I spend a lot of time on the road, so I do need to be able to have long batteries. Oh, Ian's Elbow is here. Ian's Elbow. Render boy extraordinaire. How you doing, Ian? Nice to see you, my friend. But yeah, when I'm out and about on the road, I do need to have the battery life, and this thing this thing's going to be an absolute beast for that. So I'm really pleased with it. But yeah, that's what's going on. So that's why I've stuck with that one rather than the MacBook Pro. I did have some thoughts about maybe sending this back and going back, but 6 ahead. Where do I have my job interview? I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say before I get. Oh, why not? It's for a job with Jack Daniels. That would be where I would be working. So yeah. Michael Moy, welcome, sir. Good to see you. You were like the first message here, and then you've just turned up because obviously you must have wandered off. But yeah, so that's what's going on at the minute. So fingers crossed, it's final interview on Thursday. And then next week we probably won't be doing shows because I'm not here. I'm going to be traveling, so we might be doing some stuff remotely. We'll see. Depends on if there is exciting news, but don't expect the daily shows. That's not what we'll be getting next week. However, we will be still doing this week's shows. There's, as I say, a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be reviewed at this point. I've got all the setup in place now, so we have actually got a desktop camera that's like an overhead camera that's set up over here. In fact, what we'll do is I'll just point the... See, you can see it. So we've got a Lumix that sits up here above my desk all the time. That's for when we're doing the review stuff, and when we're doing unboxings, all that kind of things. Sucks ahead, thank you very much. See you later. Thank you so much for coming. Michael, it was 6 hours ago. No worries, my friend. Well, thank you for being here now. That's the important thing. Do I get free samples? Some stuff, yeah. So a lot of the stuff that we review, it does get sent to me for free. It don't get anything from Apple, obviously, because we keep, talking about the rumours and stuff. But things like over here where you've got the Grid Studio stuff that's over on this wall. So we've got the Apple Watch here and the iPhone, the iPhone 3. That's from them. I've also got a mod mic over here, which I need to get to because the guy keeps emailing me. It's been like a week and a half, so he's a bit excitable. But like the Joby stuff, that was all sent to me for review. And this stuff is really, really good. ESR was the first people to send us stuff, so cases, their little MagSafe puck thing, which I use all the time. Charge tree swing that's over here. Yeah, we get quite a few bits. There's a projector that we're going to set up and make like a garden cinema and play the movies on the side of my house. That's what we're going to do for that video. Yeah, the hub that's sitting under my Mac Mini. We do get quite a few bits and bobs of things to play with. Headphones. Everyone wants to send you headphones, which is lovely. We've got a little Edifier speaker, little Bluetooth one that sits in your lounge, little retro-looking thing. It's very, very cute and actually sounds really, really good. And also one of those Divoom little LED, looks like a classic Mac. So that's pretty fun. And you can do LED like pixel art on it. So what we might do is open it up to the community so you can all make LED stuff that we then put onto that for the review video, which would be quite fun to kind of get you guys involved in that review a little bit. But yeah, the biggest thing that is on the horizon for me still is Project 91, which is putting that M1 chip inside the Macintosh Classic. That's just going to be like a huge amount of work. I have got some peripherals that I've now built for this, so I'll grab those if you want. You can have a look at those. Come with me, camera. And we're back. So this is a KLIM mechanical keyboard, which I've repainted, so we can use this with the Macintosh Classic. So we've gone for the classic beige colours. Everything, it's still a nice clickety-clackety standard mechanical keyboard. You still get your nice RGB coming through it, so it's kind of a sleeper keyboard for a sleeper computer. And then the body for the Mac, this is going to be the display, by the way, so we're going to take the touch panel off of this. Then we've got the LCD controller board, which will go between the LCD from this and into... Has everyone seen the Mac Classic that we're using, by the way? This is what's going to be M1 powered. I know we talk about it pretty much on every live stream. Hey Joe, how you doing? Yeah, we talk about this on all the live streams. I am actually going to get around to doing it. Maybe by the end of the week, we might get inside it. But there's so much stuff in here, and the base of it is plenty big enough to hold the M1 Mac Mini, so I haven't actually got to dismantle it, all being well. We should still be able to run all the cable in there. And also, it's going to have my external hard drivers actually inside it, so it's going to be internal external hard drives, because that's the only way that you can expand anything Apple Silicon anyway, is on the outside. That's all going to go on the inside. So the iPad that we're using for this, it's an iPad 3, so it's the first Retina. So it's 2048 by 15 something resolution. And it's 9.7 inches, which will basically fit in there pretty well. I think we might have to underscan it very, very slightly, but not a great deal, which is fine. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite good. And then, yeah, you're still going to get your RGB coming through on the nice beige mouse, which is a little bit gamery still looking, but the beige matches well. But yeah, I think it's going to be quite a fun little piece. Should definitely be the fastest Mac Classic 2 in the world, even with an M1, because you can basically only get M2 in laptops at this point, which is annoying. 2048 by 1536. That sounds about right, Vivasic. Oh, and welcome. You hadn't talked to me until now, and you're just going to come in with resolutions for me. Thank you. But yeah, that's what we've got. M1 Ultra original Macintosh when. We're going to need a little bit more budget for that, I think. But yeah, that's the plan anyway. Tech God, does that iPad work? Yes, it does, but it's an iPad 3, so it only runs, I think, iOS 10? 10.5 or 10.6 point something. So yeah, it's not particularly current, let's say. This is from 20... when was the first iPad? First iPad was 2010, so 2012, I guess. Display is still pretty fantastic, though. But yeah, it does work, but the batteries run out at this point. But yeah, it's a technically working device. I was looking online to see if I could get a one with a cracked digitizer, but with the display itself intact, because it's not a laminated screen. So I would have been able to pick one up for like very little money, but also, you know, it would have done the job absolutely fine. It wouldn't have made any difference to me. So yeah, Macintosh 128K to Macintosh 128 gig. Yeah, that would be for an M1 Ultra maybe. I think it could be done, to be fair, but not at the moment. Rod Tech, that's a nice idea to redesign retro tech. Have you done any editing or exporting on your new MacBook Air? Yes. So what we actually did was last week I made a video entirely using only the MacBook Air. So the video is called, I'll grab a link to it, but the video is basically called Can You Use a MacBook Air as your only device to run YouTube, or something. That doesn't sound as snappy as it must have been when I did it. Let's find out what it actually was. It was, yeah, can a MacBook Air be your whole YouTube studio? So let me just grab the link now, and I'll drop it in the chat. But yeah, basically what we did with that was everything in the video is shot on the MacBook Air, on its own internal display. Everything, all the music for the video was made in GarageBand on the MacBook Air as part of the project. The video was then all edited on the MacBook Air. We did some screen recording. We did some audio recording in different different environments as part of it. I did a full iCave Answers. So it's like a 24-minute video, I think, something like that. And with all of the video editing and all of the like the recording and everything else, making the music, we started off with a full battery, and by the end of it, I think we were on something like 69%, and then it was all uploaded. Thumbnail was done on it. I forgot that I hadn't got Photoshop on my MacBook Air because I only have 2 licenses for it on the Adobe plan that I have. So I used Keynote. So I just made my made my thumbnail in Keynote and did that. Yeah, so that's what we did. But yes, we have, and to be fair, editing on it really smooth, really slick. Just used iMovie because I also wanted to use all software that you get included with the MacBook Air as well. So basically, if you buy this, what can you do with it immediately? Like, I use nothing external, no microphones, no anything other than like the lights that are in the room already. Hopefully that makes sense. There was some outdoor stuff, some indoor stuff, audio from all over the place. So yeah, and honestly, the MacBook Air, if you're not using it, if you're not expecting it to be a Mac Pro replacement, if you're not expecting it to, transcode 8K RAW files and all that sort of stuff, it is the perfect computer for 95% of people out there. Now, the people that watch a channel like mine, maybe the demographic is slightly different, but bear in mind that my entire channel, and I'm very much an Apple enthusiast, has been made on the base level, cheapest Mac Mini, base RAM, base storage, base everything, which is on my wall there, with all the cables in and out of it. I did all my cable management as well today, so I will show that off soon. But yeah, you don't need a huge amount of power now in terms of Apple Silicon to do what most people do. Now, if Ian Zelbo is still here, I get it, mate. You probably do need to have RTX 3090s because you're rendering a lot of stuff and you need to get them out quickly as well. It's not just a case of you need to be able to do this stuff. You also need to be able to do it in a timely fashion. You need to be able to get these renders out, especially if you're doing animations, anything like that. It does take a huge amount of performance, and the speed of doing it is vital to the role. So yeah, I think there's something different there. Donate your old iPads to Ukrainian refugees via... Need to look it up on the internet. Okay, thank you very much. Naked Bananas, hello all. Yeah, July the 4th, I would 100% do that, except we don't have spare tech, because all the stuff that we have basically is in use by someone. It's hand-me-downs to different people in the family and stuff. But yeah, 100% support that. If you've got tech that's sitting in a drawer, not doing anything, that's a great way to make use of it. Naked Bananas, hello sir. If you guys don't know, Naked Bananas and I met up when I was down in London the other week, and it was fantastic. It's a great guy. Really nice to meet him. I was hoping to go down to London this week, but I'm not. I can't now because I have my interview on the same day that I was going to, because there is an Apple store opening on Thursday down in London, which is a couple of doors down from Harrods, I think. And quite often when they open a new Apple store, some of the senior management show up, and it would have been amazing to just bump into Tim Cook. But bear in mind, on the same day, they've also got their earnings call, so I have a feeling he may well be stuck in Cupertino for the day anyway. But that would have been pretty impressive. It's Brompton Road, I think it's called. And yeah, it's basically a couple of doors down from Harrods. And from what I can see on Apple Maps, it looks like it was an old Burberry shop as well, which would make sense because the old head of retail, Angela Ahrens, I believe her name was, used to be at Burberry before she went to Apple. So, yeah. Joe asks, or says, most consumers don't need more than the M1 MacBook Air, to be honest. The same with phones, since a lot of tech enthusiasts are allegedly picking on the Pixel 6a for having a 60Hz screen. I don't care about refresh rates. I'm going to be honest with you, and I've said this for a long time. ProMotion means nothing to me. I know it's nicer, but I can't notice it when I use a MacBook Pro in a store. When I played with the iPhone 13s in the store, 13 Pros, can't tell. But yeah, but consumers don't need more than that, and I don't need more than that. I think this is beautiful though. And my wife's got the M1. She got the base model on release day, and yeah, just fantastic little piece of kit. And I was still using my 2012 iMac at that point, so it was before I'd got the Mac Mini. And yeah, I was really jealous, which is why I got to unbox it on the channel on the day that it came out, which was really good. It was really nice. And it is still a great bit of kit, and it is absolutely enough for the vast majority of people, and it would be enough for what I actually need to do. But It's a redesign. It's a special time. It's the first of the M2s. It's interesting. It made for some good content on the channel, and I think it's been a good choice. All right, let's have a quick check. I don't know if anyone else has seen that we've had a guy called Michael Stieber who has basically done a full recreation of the original Apple stores. There were two that opened actually on the first on the first day that the first Apple store opened. They opened two at the same time. So he's recreated both of those, and also the Cupertino Infinite Loop store that they used to have there. I don't know if they still have that one there, or if it's just at Apple Park now. If anyone knows in the comments, do let me know. And also Fifth Avenue, I think, but I didn't look at that one. And he's created these as a Mac app where you can basically walk around first person and explore the stores, which is really interesting. And there's supposed to be stuff you can interact with, but I was hammering E and nothing happened. So I don't know if that's a bug in this first release, or if my E button doesn't work. I don't know. Tech God, I've tried 120 Hz devices in the stores and I can't tell at all. Like, I understand that it's nicer and it probably does look smoother, but every single time that I've ever seen anyone sort of try and demonstrate how great it is, they show it in slow motion, and I'm like, but if you have to put it in slow motion to see it, then you're not going to benefit from it in general. So, yeah. I don't get the high refresh rate stuff. And as I said in one of my videos recently, there's Windows laptops now that are going up to like 480 Hertz, and I'm like, but like, why though? Like, maybe there is an advantage if you are competitively playing like first-person shooting games, but I think that's it. I think that's really the only circumstance where it actually makes enough difference to care about. There's been some new news as well, I believe, about the headsets, which I saw on Apple Insider, and it is Saad Ismail, who the artist formerly known as Apple Tomorrow, who's doing their renders for them, and the one on Apple Insider looks insanely nice, I've got to say. And they're again saying that it's going to debut in 2023. Does anyone care? Is anyone going to buy this? Is anyone in the chat likely to buy this? Like, the new renders look pretty spectacular, but they have added the over-the-head strap, which I think is an interesting choice because none of the other renders so far have shown an over-the-head strap. Not sure if that'll be there or not. It does seem more practical, but I also haven't seen any leaks about that. It just seems like the over-the-head ones have just been added because it would actually be more practical, which does make sense. It would be, and they're saying that this is going to be potentially powered by a M2 chip with a 96-watt charger, which I don't know if that's because they want to charge it faster so that you can use it without the charger attached, or if it's going to be that much more power hungry that it needs that. Obviously, you've got multiple displays in there at high resolution, so that'll be interesting to know. And also interesting if it's like a variant on M2 or if it's just straight vanilla M2. Let's see what we've got here. Joe says, I can tell more on the phones than any bigger screen unless I'm playing a game. That makes sense. This is on the higher refresh rates. I think higher refresh rates will make a difference when you're doing like virtual reality. Absolutely, because you don't want like what appears to be your entire environment to be juddery. That's not what you want at all. Slow Cuba says, I'm looking forward to TSMC's 4, 3 and 2 nanometer based M SoCs. The sooner Apple starts selling those, the sooner I'll have a chance to pick up a refurbished or used 2 nanometer based Ultra Studio. Yeah, I mean, there's been conflicting reports. Max Tech has been saying that they think that the M2 Pro, M2 Max won't be coming until early next year, because that's when TSMC will have had time to kind of get that process up and running. But actually, they say that the actual wording that TSMC said is delivering to customers in the spring of 2023, which basically means to Apple, not to people buying a laptop from Apple. So I think that we're going to be looking at this around about June time, which is when we've had M2, June at WWDC. So I think M3 is when we're going to get 3nm. It just makes sense. There's just going to be 3s all over the place. That's, I think, when it's going to happen. And I think M2 Pro, M2 Max is still going to be 5nm plus. And that's what I think we'll still get towards the end of this year. I think Apple is finally going to get onto that annual cadence that I was literally saying from November of 2020 when the first Apple Silicon stuff arrived. This is the cadence that they will try and do. Obviously, that first year, they did not hit because they were trying to introduce all the new styles of chips, all of the new redesigns for things like the new MacBook Pros, now for the new MacBook Airs, the new iMac, getting into iPads, all that sort of stuff. So I feel like it's okay for them to have taken a little bit more time on these first ones. But yeah, I don't think it's going to take too much longer. So let's have a quick look down here. But yeah, I do think the first of the 3nm is going to be next year. I think that's going to be next June time, around WWDC. Let's see what else we've got. Take God, there's certain parts of that game that are interactive. It'll pop up and give you and tell you if there's an interactive part. Yeah, there's like a phone ringing behind the Genius Bar. That seems like it's something you should be interacting with. Nothing happened. I couldn't get any pop-ups to happen, so maybe I've messed something up on that shopping different app. Definitely check it out though. If you go to any of the news sites, they've all got the links to it. But yeah, it's really interesting the way that he's done it. And obviously these are based on how they would have looked on the opening day as well. So you've got like G3 iMacs, the nice colourful ones. They've got some of the polycarbonate cinema displays in there. It all looks really cool. Slower Cuba, speaking of games, have you done much / any gaming on your M2 MacBook Air? Not a lot. I actually did put Kerbal Space Program on it, which is my go-to game. It's the one that I play, if anything. And again, I've not played that probably for the past year, really, because I've been so much of my time has been put into like creating content and living a real life and having a family and stuff. But I did put it on there and I played like a couple of launches today. It plays really well. Like there's no dramas with it. The difficulty is that obviously you need a hub if you want to do gaming on it, really, because you're going to want a mouse rather than a trackpad. And the trackpad on it is a little bit awkward for that kind of thing because there's a lot of rotating, moving cameras, all that sort of stuff. So it's very difficult to get mice that have a USB-C port. Obviously, you can do Bluetooth, but the Bluetooth mouse that I have is this one, which, again, you can't really do the tilty, clicky, you can't click both buttons at the same time, for example. Bit annoying. But I guess this is probably not optimized for gaming that much, in fairness. But yeah, Bluetooth mouse is obviously the way to go, but yeah, all of the stuff that I've got is USB-A mice, really helpfully. But yeah, I mean, it all ran fine. There was no problems with heat or anything. Battery drain is a little bit quicker. Yeah, it's all good though. Slower Cuba, it may be evident from the last question. I have not seen all your latest videos, just catching up. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, I haven't put anything on video about gaming on it yet. I'll probably try some of the Apple arcade games, because obviously they're all optimized for Apple Silicon at least, so it gives it the best possible chance to perform well. The other stuff that I think is Apple Silicon optimized, I think I've got Frost something from Steam, Frostpunks I think it's called. Then there's like EVE Online, which is Apple Silicon optimized as well, and they're actually doing quite a lot of advertising pushing that. And then like World of Warcraft is Apple Silicon optimized, which I don't have. Although I think you can download it for free, right? Maybe it's worth trying. And yeah, there's a couple of other bits. League of Legends and stuff like that, I think, is Apple Silicon optimized as well, which would be cool. Rusty Piece, my toupee comes with a chin strap. What? How fast are you going? Uncle Bert laughing at you. What have I missed here? I think Apple wants to set 120 as the standard for their products when they release content for all devices, John Malkin. Oh, okay, so you think like Apple TV Plus stuff is all going to start coming in 120? Or gaming or what? Because I think that at least so far they've definitely been keeping 120Hz as a premium like Pro feature. Apple's brought the same design language to the MacBook Air. We haven't got 120Hz on the regular iPhones. I don't think we'll be getting it in the 14 generation either, so I think it's still very much a Pro feature for now, but I'm sure eventually it will happen. John Malkin is asking, October new Mac Mini. I would hope so. I would think October we might well see the MacBook Pros with M2 Pro, M2 Max. I think we might see the new Mac Mini, which would be the redesign that we get, and that would have M2 and M2 Pro. And then I think in the spring we would see M2 Max and M2 Ultra going into the studio. That would be my guess, or that might be October, it could be November, it depends if they've got anything else to come out, but September will be our iPhones, iPads, possibly iPad Pro with with M2 inside it as well. That might be the next M2 product, which would be weird. But yeah, that would probably be in September. Keep the Air with the M1 in it until the spring, then that gets the M2. Do you see what I mean? It all fits because the cores are based on what comes in the A series that we get for the phones anyway. It all makes sense. But yeah, I think October for the Mac Mini makes sense, and I think the only reason they probably held it back is because it is getting that redesign. Fingers crossed, although there's been nothing in the supply chain, as far as I know, that has indicated that, but also it's just a kind of milled piece of aluminium again, in a slightly different shape, so we didn't really see the design of these MacBook Pros or this MacBook Air ahead of time in any great detail, so not super surprising, because the volumes are so much lower as well than with the iPhones. Rusty Peace currently luxuriating in London, UK, but planning to speed my way up to Kansas as far as my little thighs will carry me. Okay, you're going to Kansas. Very nice. John Malkin, do you think they will skip the March-April event because of the winter event, if true? Nope, don't think so. I do think that the January event that we're going to see, potentially, if this happens, if this is true, as you say, if true, I think the January event is probably going to be around about the 7th of January as well. I think it's going to be super early, which will be amazing for us content creators, because January is historically an absolute wasteland with nothing to talk about. And it would be great if everyone gets G'd up about this all of a sudden, and then we've got something to talk about. But I reckon it would be around about the 7th or the 8th, something like that, because I'm pretty sure that's when the original iPhone was announced. It was at the Macworld conference, which they used to hold in January because I guess they could get the conference centres cheaper, because nobody was doing anything really at that time of year. The same as with, like, Tales of the Cocktail happens in New Orleans in the middle of the summer because it's too hot for tourists, so all the bartenders just head down there. And it helps to keep New Orleans busy. Slow Cuba, Kerbal V2 isn't coming out on the Mac. Sad face. I know, that's like shocking. That's the only reason that I'm thinking I might need a PC of some sort. But also, I feel safe to leave Kerbal for 6 months after it comes out. We'll see. There might be better tools for emulating PC titles onto the Mac by then. It could well be that we get a Vulkan version that can emulate it through. But it depends what the specs are as well, because I have still got the iMac over there, which is Intel and has got Boot Camp on it. So it just depends if it needs potentially quite high-end hardware, which it probably will. But the good thing about Steam is you can always wait for a sale, because everything goes on sale eventually on Steam. You put it on your wish list, they email you, and it's cheap. It's great. Slow Cuba, yes, you can play characters up to level 10 on WoW for free. Last I checked. Cool. I mean, I probably won't. I used to play World of Warcraft a little bit, not a huge amount. Not a massive gamer. The thing that I've actually done more on this Apple Silicon gaming-wise than anything else is PlayStation emulators, because PlayStation 2 emulation on here is actually really, really good. And Gran Turismo 2 was like my childhood. So I've played a bit of that. That was great fun. And you can like upscale it to 4K. It's mad. Yes, they'll start with premium new features, maybe 120Hz Apple TV, says John Malkin. That's not a bad shout, to be fair, because it's only got a single display to feed to. We know that the A-series chips is going to be the A14, right? That should be able to deal with a pair of 4K displays at 60, which means it can do a single display at 120. That shouldn't be a problem at all. Slow Cuba says, but Blizzard will skin you alive with their level 15 or 16. With their 15 or 16 US dollars per month subscription once you're hooked. Yeah, I'm not going back. Joe says M2 iPad Pro is coming in October and M2 iMac. And no M2 iMac, probably. I don't believe this rumor at all. It makes no sense whatsoever. Why do you think there would be no M2 iMac? Just out of interest, anyone in the chat, let me know why you don't think they would bother with an M2 iMac, because I don't see any reason that they wouldn't. If it's about the heat, we've already got a dual fan version of those. I know the base, binned version only got one fan. Very strange. But there's a twin fan version that they use for the full fat chips anyway, so I don't think there would be a problem. And I would think that they could probably put up to an M1 Pro in there, to be fair. I could see us getting an M1 Pro in an iMac if they're going to put an M1 Pro into the Mac Mini as well. John Malkin, I play Elder Scrolls Online on a MacBook Air with a trackpad. Lots of keyboard shortcuts. Yeah, that's cool. Elder Scrolls was one of the games that I used to play when I was way younger. I'm assuming it's a newer version and not just a modded version. It could be, I guess. We'll see. Uncle Bart, hopefully I'll be ready to buy a MacBook Pro when they're released. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're going to be pretty cool, but it is going to be October, November, I think. Probably October release, November, buy it. John Malkin, I heard Microsoft might support Apple Silicon for virtual Windows 11 by the end of the year. That would be interesting. It's also, it's only down to Microsoft whether they just allow you to do virtualization, basically. The difficulty, again, will be that it will be kind of running a virtual Windows machine on top of Mac OS and then running through, I guess, Rosetta if you want to play something that's Intel-based or x86-based games. So that's going to be tricky. But, yeah, fingers crossed, if it'll run it to a reasonable degree, then that should be fine. But, yeah, Windows for ARM is, a mess as it is. Windows 11, by all accounts, not super popular. Windows now taking it to 12 because obviously Mac went to 13 now, so they're trying to play catch up again. Having said that 10 would be the last version of Windows. Uncle Bart, I hope Microsoft does. Yeah, I mean, I think the reason that we understood before is that Qualcomm had got a 3-year/5-year exclusivity deal for Windows on ARM running on their chips, and that's why Windows and Microsoft wasn't supporting Apple Silicon installations of it, even though Parallels was yeah, you can do it. It's physically possible. However, don't know how good that emulation is because I never played with the Parallels version because A, unlicensed, B, just nah. But this is going to be the other problem is Windows 11. If you're virtualizing it, does it still need to have that kind of security chip? Because I think surely that was one of the big issues that people couldn't run it. So maybe you could virtualize Windows 11 on Windows 10 if you haven't got the chip or something. I don't know. Very strange. Slow Cuba, I'm running Windows 11 under Parallels now on my 16-inch M1 Max MacBook Pro. So how's that running for you as a developer copy? Yeah, so from the Insider program, I'm guessing. How's it working for you, Slow Cuba? Is it I don't know if you're gaming on it or if you're doing productivity stuff, but yeah, let us know how that's working. John Malkin, I run Windows 10 on Parallels for work development. Parallels is great. Are you using the x86 version emulated on there, or is it Windows for ARM that you're actually emulating? Just out of interest. Emulating, is it even emulation, or is it I don't know, virtualization I think is the right word, isn't it? Bibabisk7, They said that Windows 10 would be the last version of Windows, and then they went back on it. Yeah, and I genuinely think this is because macOS was on macOS 10 forever, and I think that's why they were like, oh yeah, we've done that now. That's what we'll do. We'll do 10.1, 10.2, and then immediately Apple went, Big Sur is 11, Monterey is 12, Ventura. I keep forgetting the name Ventura because we were all convinced it was going to be called Mammoth. Also, I would say that I completely forgot I was running a beta version of Ventura on this Mac Mini that we're streaming on now. So in terms of stability, zero. I mean zero problems. And even my AirDrop is working all of a sudden. So I'm not sure if that was just a weird Bluetooth thing that needed a restart, as opposed to actually a problem with macOS 13 and iOS 16. iOS 16 I'm enjoying as well. No real issues with it. Slightly worse battery life. It's kind of all that I've had, but otherwise it's been really good. Who else is using the pre-release stuff? Let me know in the comments. Nerve Tokyo 3 Windows 11 works on Parallels. It emulates the missing hardware. Oh, that's cool. Good to know. Joe, if only that Dell XPS 13 wasn't on Intel and macOS run Monterey. Oh, I don't like the look of that. That's the one that Max Tech were going on about and saying how great it was, wasn't it? With the horrible, really square keys that run into each other. I think the design on it looks terrible. I know everyone else likes it, but I'm just not a big fan of that at all. And they've gone for the touch buttons as well. Very funny. John Malkin, I'm able to import virtual machines from any virtual machine. I have Intel bases now, waiting for the new Mac Mini. Cool. Both Intel and ARM. Cool. Yep. So it does seem like it shouldn't be a problem to virtualize and do all of these things. I just keep remembering the song for the name. Michael Moy. What song is it? What have I got? I'm lost now. Sorry, dude. Slow Cuba runs pretty well, but not done much. Run one of the Age of Empires games in Steam under Windows 11 under Parallels. Did okay, but had a couple of problems. Was months ago. Okay, fair enough. I mean, you're going to get glitchiness if you're going to be going through that many layers of stuff, I think. But the fact that it's running at all and reasonably is a nice win. MLG Pro, Rico the MLG Pro. Yo, Dave, I just got the new M1 Max MacBook Pro. Congratulations, sir. That is a bit of a beast. Slow Cuba, when they work under crossover, the games are best run there. Oh, okay, that's interesting to know, because that's like a very similar thing to like wine, right? It's like wine bottler, basically. I don't know if that works on Apple Silicon. Would be interesting. I think Andrew Tsai would be the guy to find out from, because he seems to be like the guy for gaming on the Mac. Definitely find out. Oh, Ventura Highway. Okay, is there a song that's called Ventura Highway? I didn't even know. I immediately went to Ace Ventura Pet Detective. Slow Cuba, unless of course they run just directly on the Mac. Well, yeah, stuff that runs natively, even better. Did you see Rene Ritchie's new job? Yes. So Rene Ritchie, who is obviously one of the most prolific Mac and Apple YouTubers out there, is dropping down to like one video a week for his YouTube channel, and gonna, I think, step away from being specifically about Mac and more about kind of tech and the industry in general. And he is now YouTube's creator liaison, so he's going to be basically advocating for creators in general at YouTube, and basically presenting the problems that full-time creators have, because he's been one for a long time. He's also worked in journalism, he's worked as a tech analyst, all this sort of stuff. So he's going to be basically representing the views of YouTubers. It's not there to do the kind of day-to-day support, but yeah, congratulations to Rene Ritchie, because he's an absolute goat. And yeah, I mean, you can't, I don't think there's anyone that could be like, not really into that Rene Ritchie fella. No, he's just absolutely awesome. And I think he's going to be missed from the amount of stuff that he does around Apple. I think that's going to be quite disappointing for a lot of people, that his voice is going to be quieter on that side of things, and you know, somebody's got to fill that gap for him. Probably not me. But he's also got to learn a bit about like live streaming because he's not done a lot of that. So he's going to be getting into some new kind of content types and stuff, which I think will be interesting. Nerve Tokyo 3 asks, do you think the M2 Pro Mini will come this year? I'm still Intel only, but need ARM-based and desktop to do that. Yeah, I do think we're going to get an M2 Pro in a Mac Mini. I do think it's going to be this year. That's my hope. So yeah, definitely hoping that will be out this year. It makes a lot of sense that it would be. And I do think it will be alongside an iMac as well. I don't know why people are saying that it wouldn't be. It's such an easy update for them to do. They literally swap out the chip on a board. That's it. Well, you swap the board, like everything else is staying the same, isn't it? They're not going to redesign anything. They're not going to re-engineer anything. Unless, excuse me, it's getting a bit late over here. Unless they've had some actual design problems with the manufacturing of that version of the iMac. But if they have, then I would think they would have like pulled it before they'd actually done the release and fixed it, because that seems to be what they tend to do. But yeah, I genuinely think iMac would be coming. I have Rene's video queued to watch, but it sounds like a great job. It absolutely does, Michael. David Black, and he's a fellow Canadian, good Canadian kid. We're proud of Rene. You should be proud of Rene. But I think one of the other things you'll probably be fighting is the issues that Canadian government have got with wanting Canadian creators pushed on YouTube, and like to the exception of other stuff, which I think he was really pushing on that. So I think he might be quite vocal about that again. I don't know if that's all been resolved. Michael Moyer was hoping that he was going to be Apple-centric or tech-centric, so he's going to represent all content creators. That's a very tough job. Yeah, so it's more where we've got things like fake accounts in comment sections, which honestly we don't get a huge amount of. We get 2 or 3 a video. It's really very manageable. There's so many creators that I see online that are saying how toxic the comment section are, how awful the people that comment on their videos are. I'm like, it's all about how you deal with your audience. It's how you represent yourself. And I think one of the big things that I've done from day one is I answer every single comment that anyone leaves on my videos. They get an answer from me. And that's one of the things that I've been massively passionate about, is like, you guys have taken the time to leave me a comment. This is why when we do these live streams, I'm basically just going through the comments, and we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. But yeah, if you've taken the time to leave me a comment, it's very rude of me to just think that I'm more important. No, every comment gets a reply. At least every sort of thread. Do you know what I mean? So I'll respond to a thread of comments. I'll normally get back to you as well on replies to replies, but not always, because it doesn't flag up as easily for me to see. Nobody can easily replace Rene. Absolutely not. We need a Gamers Nexus type Apple-centric tech creator on this platform. I would say the closest to that would be what Max Tech do in terms of like the heavy-duty testing, but I think they also... some stuff gets blown out of proportion. Like the SSD issue, it's not going to be an issue for almost anyone that uses them. And bear in mind as well, this is the biggest thing I think that that most people didn't really consider, is like, yes, the SSD is slower. How big are the files you're going to be transferring on a 256 gig hard drive? You're not, because it's not big enough to hold those big files. Like, macOS is going to... macOS covers like 500, 50 gigs ish, I guess. So like that's a fifth of your hard drive already gone. You've got 200 to play with. You're gonna want some apps and stuff. Like, you're not gonna be transferring files that are that big that you actually notice this difference. I don't think. It might be findable in a test. Whether it's noticeable in the real world when you're not doing the same task on 2 systems, I just don't think it's anywhere near the drama that everyone made it out to be. And it's not an intentional, like, we've hobbled this one to make you buy this one. It's these are the chips were available. Yeah, so here we go. YouTube liaison is a great role for Renee. Yeah, absolutely. Reflection of our Canadian content regulations on radio and TV, possibly extended to web-based media content, and still in development in Parliament. Yeah, this is what I was. That's what I was thinking. It's like I understand why the government want that, but I also don't think they've thought through any of the implications of what that means, and the fact that if other countries did the same thing, then you'd just get TV again. And the whole point is that these Canadian creators who punch well above their weight, especially with people like Rene, like with Linus Media Group, with Canoopsy, I think is Canadian, right? We seem to have Canada Brigade in at the moment, so you can let me know who's there. I'm sure there's several others, but like you guys do incredibly well in terms of like production of TV and stuff in Vancouver, I think it is. Is that the main place where they do all that stuff? Yeah, so I think it's just a bit crazy, and I don't think they've thought of what the implications are for anything else. If Canadian creators get more, I mean, why not just have like a tab that people can go to where they find creators near me? That'd be fine. But because you might be looking for stuff that's relevant to your local area, but when it's stuff about a Mac, for example, doesn't matter where you live, the Mac is the same pretty much everywhere. I suppose with the iPhones, like, we could all stop having to see stuff about the millimeter wave radios, but it doesn't matter. There we go. That's my take anyway. Unbox Therapy is in Canada, and Dave 2D, okay. Yes, Vancouver, secondarily in Toronto. Yeah, I mean, the stuff that I was thinking was stuff like all the CW shows, or like the Arrowverse, because we were huge into Arrow and all those shows before they went off air. I don't know, they're killing some of the other stuff now. Yeah. Nerve Tokyo 3 says, yeah, the M2 Air SSD is not that big of an issue. Normal folk even used hard drives and never didn't mind. It's crazy. I mean, yeah, they're still quick hard drive, still quick SSDs. They're just not quite as quick as they were last year. But when you're doing the kind of work that this device is for, you're not going to have any problems, I don't think. So yeah, I think we're gonna kind of wrap it up, guys, because it's getting a bit late this side of the pond, and I'm getting a bit tired, as you can probably tell from my eyes that are going a little bit droopy now. But yeah, I just wanted to jump on a little stream, let you know what's been going on. There is going to be the videos coming out tomorrow, fingers crossed, all being well, where I'll take you through all of the other stuff that's knocking around the studio. I will try and get that little home cinema thing going as well, because I would love to have some movie night on the side of the house. I think that would be pretty good with the projector. And if you guys have any questions you want me to answer in tomorrow's show about Apple stuff, something that we can get our teeth into, something a little bit meaty, leave it down in the comment section. Not in the chat, but in the comment section, because there is where I will be grabbing any questions with hashtag iCaveAnswers, and we will put them into the show. Now, I know if you've been chatting to me, you're subscribed, because I basically set this to subscribers only, so that if people wanted to chat, maybe they would press the little button. But if you haven't pressed the button, please do that. Have a listen to Ventura Highways by America. Oh, is that it's a song? Okay, cool. I will find it. So Cuba, hope you get the JD job. I'll have to switch brands if you do. It's not going to affect my numbers too much if you're over there. But they also look after things like Woodford Reserve, El Jimador. Oh, John, thank you so much, my friend. Very much appreciated, sir. But yeah, Brown Foreman, they look after a whole bunch of stuff. Jimador, yeah, whole bunch of stuff. Ford's Gin, a few other bits. But yeah, it's an interesting time, and we will see how we get on. David Black, thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. Very much appreciated, you guys. And I will see you in the next one.